Today's been a pretty unlucky day, so I figured we would read what's the luckiest thing that has ever happened to you Ask Reddit thread. So let's do this. I had my car stolen when I was 19. A few months later, I was driving my new car from Seattle to Portland at 3 a.m. with no other traffic around, and my stolen car passes me on the left. I followed the guy for about 120 miles back to Portland. At one point, he pulled up beside me and waved at me, thinking that we were road rally pals. I returned a death stare, followed him home, called the cops, and got my car back. When I think of all that had to align for my car to find me again, it blows my mind. I was at a mall and heard a woman scream from the upper level. I turned around, looked up, and reflexively caught a toddler who had somehow managed to squeeze between the iron safety rails and fallen literally on top of me. A good 20-25 feet below. Perfect catch, not a scratch. I've replayed this in my head dozens of times and still to this day do not know how the hell I did this. Lucky catch, I guess. Surviving would have been a fatal car crash. Before that day, I never wore my seatbelt. Yes, I was an idiot. I left work that day for some reason, just out of nowhere, decided to put it on. 10 minutes later, somebody blew a stop sign from a side street and T-boned me going 40 to 45 miles an hour. It felt like I hit a brick wall. The car was totaled, and I most likely would not have lived had I not put my seatbelt on. It pays to be safe, kids. Buckle up. 2 years ago, I was working as an airman at a Blue Angels show when one of them approached me to let him into the debrief vault. He thanked me and asked if he could do anything for me, probably thinking I would ask for a patch or a picture, but I jokingly said to him that he could take me up on the next flight. He laughed and said he would get back to me, thinking that was the end of it. I bumped into the major an hour later and asked if I was ready for the ride of my life. I was pretty shocked, but just like that, at the end of the day, me and two other guys got to ride shotgun in the Blue Angels F-18s. Best example of right place and right time. Otherwise, from this amazing experience, my luck is usually sleeping. Well, I bet you could say he was pretty high on life after that one, but I had just turned 30, some failed relationships behind me, as we all have, including a cheating fiance. Anyways, I went out for breakfast with my mother one morning to one of our favorite restaurants. We sat down and then I heard someone calling my name from the next booth over. I look over and see a friend of mine, and with her is a beautiful woman. Blonde hair, blue eyes, exactly my type. I would love to be able to say I was perfectly suave and swept her off her feet. However, nerves got the better of me and I stammered hello, mumbled some inane small talk, and even shook her hand at the end of conversation, and went back to my breakfast, feeling like a total buffoon. As I sat there thinking that I had to do something to redeem myself, I managed to catch the eye of my friend who was with her and mouthed, "Is she single?" She got a little smirk on her face and suddenly nodded yes. I just about had a heart attack. At this point, I think she lost patience and indicated that she would send me this blonde beauty's email address after she found out if it was okay to do so from her friend. Little did I know, at the same time I was prodding for info, the blonde girl, whose name was Heather I had finally remembered, was asking details about me. Breakfast ended and I said goodbye to the two of them and went home. 2 hours later, email address in hand, I sent off hello message to Heather and immediately got a response, and our first date was a week later. And now, 7 years later, we are coming up on our 5th wedding anniversary, and we have a beautiful, sweet little girl who is the spitting image of her mother. Heather carried me through some terrible times when I was the primary caregiver for my mother, who died with cancer after a 2-year struggle. I don't know how I would have survived changing my mom's diapers, changing catheters, all the horror events that come with home care of a terminal cancer patient, without the constant love and support of this amazing woman. The fact that she stayed with me during this time, even though we had just started dating when my mother's diagnosis was discovered, amazes me and still brings me to tears. I love my wife, and thank goodness I decided to take a day off work and go to breakfast with my mom. Luckiest day of my life. I called a beer company's question and comment lines in hope of getting a free t-shirt, and they gave me an all-expenses-paid trip to Las Vegas for me and 3 of my friends. The beer was Keystone Light, and the whole story is below. I usually don't read the brand names, but I feel like they deserve it for the nice gesture. A while back, I was unemployed, broke as hell, and job searching like crazy. I had applied to like 30 places and had some interviews over the course of 5 months, but remained jobless. One night, I decided to walk to the local pizza place instead of getting it delivered. My fiance at the time bought the pizza. Well, on the walk back, I noticed a baby bird lying in the middle of the road. I stopped and stared at it for a moment before picking it up and setting it under a nearby bush. Next day, I received a call from one of the places I had recently interviewed at, asking if I could come fill in some paperwork. Sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, it turns out the hiring manager was with her girlfriend at a bar, having a drink on the patio, and happened to see me save the bird. Earlier in the day, she had been going through all the potential applicants, and after seeing that, decided to hire me right then. It's been a little over a year now. I no longer have my fiance, but I still have the same job and recently got promoted promoted to shift leader. Not only that, but the manager and I have become fairly good friends, and she's helped me out in my personal life a lot as well. Not much to be proud of, but I suppose I couldn't have asked for anything better. Hey, Bird basically got you a job, that's what's up. About 20 years ago, I was in the car with my girlfriend, and we were driving around town. As she takes a turn, she hits the gas a little too much, and the back end starts to fishtail on some sand. Not a big deal if she stays calm, but she didn't. Instead of letting off the gas and maybe hitting the brake, she slammed on the accelerator, and the back end of the car was now 90 degrees perpendicular to the road. The tires finally grab the pavement. We go screaming towards a fence, blasting through the fence, into someone's yard, and straight towards the house. At the last second, she has the presence of mind to cut the wheel. My side of the car bounces off the side of the house. At this point, she still has the accelerator pegged. We go blasting through the picnic table, smashing it in half, and just when I think it can't get any worse, we are headed straight for a metal jungle gym, and there's an errant pipe coming straight for me. I'm pretty sure my last thoughts were, my head's going to end up in Tommy's lap. My body was sitting behind me. I see the pipe coming at the windshield, and then through some stroke of luck, the pipe bounces off the windshield, and it went over the car as we pull the jungle gym out of the ground. Still dragging the jungle gym with us, we go through a stockade fence and end up back on the street, and finally stop as what believed to be a part of the engine ended up on the ground. The fact that I survived that somehow without a scratch is probably one of my top 5 luckiest moments. Too long, didn't read. My girlfriend's a terrible driver, and we almost made a lethal style weapon entrance into someone's houses with a car. I totally should have drowned on 2 separate occasions. Story 1. When I was around 3 or 4, my mom was with me by the pool in our backyard. She was cleaning the patio nearby with a hose, and I was just chilling out being a toddler. Anyways, she had her back turned to me for a few moments, and when she turned around again, I was nowhere in sight. Turns out, I decided to crawl into the pool. She jumped in and I was already at the bottom, apparently with a big smile on my face. Don't know why, I hadn't had the slightest idea how to swim. When she pulled out, I was giggling with joy, and she didn't find it as funny, apparently. Story 2. I was about 9 or 10, and my brother and I had this nice tucked away beach all to ourselves in Santa Cruz. It was about a 100-yard stretch of beach, rocks closing in on it, very closey. Anyways, he was taking a nap, and I got in a bit over my head going out to the 7-foot breakers. I effed up and took a wave the wrong way, pounded against the sea floor a bit, swallowed a bunch of water. When the wave subsided, I was too out of it and weak to fight the riptide, and I floated out again just to get pounded by another wave. Brother somehow woke up, came out, grabbed me, and swam me back in. He is a lifeguard, so I was fortunate enough to have that on my side. I had swallowed too much water to yell, so I don't even know how he woke up, but I definitely would have died. He probably hasn't thought about it twice, but I definitely remember it every time I'm close to the ocean. Man, maybe you should just stay away from water if you're that bad at swimming. I don't know how lucky this is, but the odds of this must have been astronomical. When I was about 7, I was walking in a field, and out of nowhere, a snake just landed on my neck. I freaked out and ripped it off and looked around to see who did it, but it was a large field when there was no place for people to hide. Anyways, I ended up fighting the snake and brought it home, and it lived with me for a good 4 years until it slithered away and I never saw it again. Miss Slithers, if you're out there, please come back. I think you're cursed, man. God dropped a snake on your neck. No joke, no scam. You really should think about getting some help. I was once walking down the street and caught a $20 bill on the fly as it fell from the clear blue sky. I saw something fluttering high above and reached at it just as it was arm's length without breaking my stride. Surviving all the stupid things we did as teenagers is probably the real lucky part, but I think money falling from the sky every now and then can add a little bit of luck to your life. Hey yo, if anyone's listening, feel free to drop money on top of my head anytime. A few years ago, I had my credit card number stolen a few days before the card expired. It wasn't a card I used often. Being an irresponsible university student at the time, I wasn't actually opening my statements every month, assuming the balance would stay at 0. As a result, I didn't realize what had happened until 5 months later. It turns out that the person who stole my number used the card to place a $500 bet on a football game at 5-to-1 odds. Somehow, the team they picked won, turning that $500 into $2,500, which the betting site paid out by crediting back my card. Before they could do anything else to get the money off my card, it expired, meaning that whoever stole my number couldn't do anything about it. I didn't have to spend money on food for nearly a year. And that, kids, is why you should gamble with your credit card numbers online. I was playing poker with a group of friends and acquaintances, Texas Hold'em tournament style, and there was this one douchebag that came with someone else who was getting on everyone else's nerves all night long. He also had a habit of buying pots, which pissed everybody off. So on one hand, he goes all in on the flop, and everyone else around me folds. I look at my cards and look at the table. There's no pair showing, so I best figure he has a set. If he wasn't just buying the pot, I got 2 suited cards, and with 2 on the table, I actually had an inside draw for a straight flush. Obviously, that could also be an inside straight draw or a flush draw, so at least I got some options. I just assumed he was trying to buy the pot again. F it, I was fed up with him. I call his all in because after this one hand, one of us was going home, and either way would be a win in my book. He flips his cards. Yep, he's got 3 of a kind. I flip my cards and I've got nothing but hope. Then comes the turn, and lo and behold, it matches his cards. He just got 4 of a kind, and I still have nothing. He starts smack talking about how stupid I was to call all in on nothing, and he's going to take my money and send me home crying. Now, only an idiot goes all in, hoping for an inside draw, and now the only hand that could save me would be a straight flush. In his words, I was effed. Then comes the river. I hit my straight flush, and the dude just loses it, like rolling on the floor losing it. It was awesome. After I raked his chips, I shook his hand and said, "Nice game." After he left, I got really lucky and won the night. Took home about $400, but the joy of the money was secondary to sending that asshole home. Hope you guys enjoyed Redditors sharing their luckiest experiences. If you did, I appreciate you taking the time to press the like button, commenting, all that good stuff. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon with another video. I know this isn't my usual cup of tea, but they're really fun to make and they're pretty entertaining in my opinion. So I'll probably sprinkle them in every now and then. Hopefully you don't get too offended. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. I'm out. Peace.